every Sunday, when we come back from the Sai Center, the discussion revolves around what was taught that day and how we can implement and follow and use the values, human values, in our own life by applying them. She called me close to her and opened her hands, and she removed one hand from her right hand, and the right hand was full of beautiful, fragrant smelling vibhuti. It was warm, and she put it in my hand, and I received it with both of my hands. And I was so touched by Bhagavan. It was a materialized vibhuti that came in.
Sairam, dear listeners, welcome to Sai SOUL 100. Our guest today is Brother Mohan Manikkam, who is joining us from Charlottesville, Virginia. Sairam, Brother Mohan, thank you for joining Sai SOUL 100.
Sairam, Sister Prabhat, thank you so much.
Please share your story.
I want to, speak about how Bhagwan came into our life and how he made us feel his presence and how he made us understand his unconditional love and, witness the beautiful and wonderful miracles that he did in our lives. It all started when we started living in Missouri since 1996. And we started attending the Sai bhajans in the local town, Sai Samati. And this was the home of a professor who was working at the university. And we started joining their bhajans because there was no temple, and we wanted to be part of the, maintaining the tradition and culture from India. And for the sake of our children and for our sake, we wanted to continue to have the worships on a regular basis. So we started attending the Thursday bhajans. And from the moment we saw Bhagwan's picture and we started attending the bhajans, Swami started, giving his blessings and grace bountifully. And we started reading the book called Loving God by Kasturi. And, we put the book at home, and whenever there is a question, Jayanti started looking at this book, and we were getting beautiful answers from Bhagwan to all of our questions, and that was very blissful. And we had an umpteen number of miraculous events that happened. Since the time our car was saved from damage after a big storm, and our son was also saved from severe, brain damage, after he played with the children and fell down and had a head injury. We realized that it was purely, utterly Bhagwan's unconditional love and grace upon us. And we started attending the Sai organizational events. Once we moved to Manhattan, Kansas, we attended Kansas City, Sai retreat, and attending the guest speaker sessions and sharing devotees' experiences. And it was so wonderful to hear from them. And then we had an opportunity to start a small Sai Samati at our home itself. We started doing this Thursday evening bhajans and study circle, and there was a lot of people who came for that. And we realized how Swami's love came through all of them, the love that they showered upon us and the love that was shared amongst the in a satsang. It was so wonderful. We realized Swami is blessing all of us. We were meeting more and more Swami's devotees, and we were sharing the stories from their lives, how Swami saved them, how Swami, blessed them from many, many different difficulties and issues. And we started learning. I started reading more of Swami's literature by the time. I started reading Swami's discourses, and I started reading Swami's books by others as well. And, we very much like the 9-point code of conduct by Bhagwan, and we used to have that as a framework for our daily life. And moving on, we went to Michigan. I got a new job in Michigan at the University of Michigan. Even that itself is a miracle, and we were not sure how that turned out. Purely, it was Bhagwan's grace, and Swami made us connect with a few people And it resulted in my getting a new job without any trouble at all. And we realized that it was purely Bhagwan's grace. And having realized that, then we put in our 100%. That is always liked by Swami, or it was very pleasing to Swami that we realized that. Once we went there, then it was a big expansion in our Sai center activities. Our children started attending the SSC program, and they were joining in the group 2, group 3, and then they went on to group 4 as well. Until they finished their high school, they were in the SSC program. And because of them, we have started attending the program at the Detroit Sai Center. And, the teachers from the SSC program were wonderful. And they gave us a beautiful, ideas how we can, mellow down, how we can mold the children into very good human beings, using human values, And every Sunday, when we come back from the Sai Center, the discussion revolves around what was taught that day and how we can implement and follow and use the values, human values, in our own life by applying them, regularly. That discuss our children, and they grew up to become young adults, and then they started doing seva, and also they became so helpful to their peers. And we are very, very grateful to the SSA teachers and the peers they had. Bhagwan had given them a beautiful growing environment. And they went on to college, and even in college, they had a Sai group, and they had a program where they go do the cleanup service, and then they did a dance and music program for raising funds for AIDS patients, and and for children and like that. So they could understand Swami's teachings very well, of how if you are loving someone, then you have to serve them with the same love, without any expectation, without being expecting anything in return, that is being selfless. So they understood that the concept of loving and serving everybody. So moving on, we started getting exposed to Bhagwan's more and more grace by these things. The first is, let me go back to my own personal experiences. So the first thing was my 50th birthday. And, it was a surprise birthday, and Jayanti arranged it, organized it, and she had invited many people to come to a place. And then we had, visitors, from different states even, and they were all there to give me a surprise birthday. It was so wonderful. We had a beautiful hour and a half long bhajans, and then we had children's activities and some meetings. And after the end of the bhajans, Shagutala auntie from India, she was also she came there to bless me on that birthday, and she was sitting on the ladies' side on the right, a little bit behind, and she walked, cupping her hands to the right side of the satsang, and then she came close to the altar, Swami, next to the Swami's chair, and then she called me close to her, and opened her hands, and she removed one hand from her right hand, and the right hand was full of beautiful, fragrant smelling vibhuti. It was warm, and she put it in my hand, and I received it with both of my hands. And I was so touched by Bhagavan. It was a materialized vibhuti that came in. And I had the fortune and the blessing of Bhagavan to share that vibhuti with all of the satsang gathering with more than 100 people. It was very touching to me, and it was a moment of, realization that how Bhagavan has blessed, and how Bhagavan is nothing but goodness, and he wants us to share that goodness with everybody in the form of love and service. So that was the first instance, I realized that Bhagavan is directly blessing, and gave me a big understanding of him. The next one was when we invited our grandmother to visit us from India, and hopefully and very miraculously, she came only for a 6 month visit, but God only knows how it happened. Every time we applied for renewing her visa, it was renewed. She was in her late 80s when she came, but she was there for 3 years. Those days in the 90s and many years before, nobody could stay beyond 6 months, right? Usually they have to go back, and then only they can come back as a visitor. But Swami's grace, it happened. And in her stay, we witnessed miracles of Bhagavan, with her life, with her health, and she became a Swami's devotee. And when she went back after 3 years, Jayanti took her back, and she went to Vrindavan campus, and Swami blessed her, by his darshan, and she was so happy and very contented, very fulfilled. And she was, with her another grandson, in Chennai. And then she passed after 3 years or so in her mid 90s. And the same time as she passed, in our Ypsilanti, Michigan home, we had Padukas of Bhagavan, next to the Swami's chair, and we saw a mound of vibhuti, heart vibhuti appeared, So we were so thrilled to see that materialization again. And this was the second instance I realized how Swami says, because when we lose our loved one in our family, naturally we were very worried and very, lost, right? So we feel the loss very big. But Swami made us not to feel that grief by showing that, Bhagwan is, so merciful. And Shakuntala auntie happened to come that day, after hearing that news. Jayanti called her and told her that grandma passed, and she came to our home to, be with us. And then she told, no doubt it is Bhagavan's mercy that, she attained Swami's feet. That is the indication by showing that the Padukas had mounted vibhuti. So these are the two beautiful instances I remember very, very vividly and very, thankfully and gratefully to Bhagavan that he showed his mercy and compassion and conditional love. It is such a beautiful, memory in my life.
It's so beautiful to witness the materialization of vibhuti on the Padakas. I mean, that's a true blessing. It's amazing. Sairam.
Sairam. And Swami made us to get involved in the, Sai activities, especially with Sakuntala auntie. She's very such a blessed soul, and she came to visit her son in Ann Arbor, but then Swami connected us, and then she was invited by many Sai devotees across the Midwest or many states, Ohio, Michigan, Illinois, we went to many states, and so Swami made us take her. So both Jayanti and myself, we went with her. I took her every weekend, almost, we can say, many weeks, to different Sai centers. I would just want to quote one visit. We were going to Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and we went through Chicago. And then, having known that Shakuntala is coming, then everybody wanted her to come back and do. In Chicago, they arranged a mass gathering, and they wanted her to come and do a healing prayer, but before that, the Milwaukee devotees were insistent that, she comes in the morning and then she goes back in the evening to do the healing prayer. So we took her to some of the Indian Sai devotees families in Milwaukee. The first home we go in, and then she comes in, and then she prays at their altar, and no word is spoken, nothing was told to her, but vibhuti starts materializing, in the favorite deity of that family, so they were so thrilled, so excited. It starts as a small speck, but with time, slowly it grows. Imagine the excitement and the, beautiful, feeling, and the reality that they are, from moment to moment, they witness the Bhagwan's ultimate grace of, vibhuti materialization. And we have heard of this, but to witness it directly, as it happens. The same thing happened when we saw that first time when she hosted a bhajan at her home, and there was a big picture of Swami. And then as the bhajans went on, the vibhuti materialization increased gradually. So, and then, very, very happy, this first family, they called a few other families, told this is what happened, and auntie is here if you want to come and see her and get her blessings. And then many people came in, and then they requested auntie, okay, why don't you please come to my home? They invited like that. So like that, we went to 9 different homes, and we were witnesses for the materialization of the vibhuti by Bhagwan's grace, in all those 9 homes. And there were calls from Chicago. When are you going to come back? We are waiting, So we could never tell the time, because wherever auntie wanted to go, we took her. We just treated her like Swami, whatever she wants, wherever she wants to go, we took her out, So that gave us a very overwhelming joy. And, it was a feeling of, feeling the presence of Bhagwan that was unbelievable and unimaginable. And I can say that it was so touching to the heart, that we wanted to share and with everybody, whoever we can come across. So that is one instance of how Bhagavan, graced us with witnessing that materialization. So it is not easy, even when it happened in our own home, the Ypsilanti home, we were not the witnessing that is happening. Once instantly it formed, and then we were able to see it. But why I'm telling is that when we see this, then we realize that we are experiencing Bhagwan's presence. So that is all the beautiful, experience of feeling Bhagwan's unconditional love, mercy, compassion, and his, ultimate grace. And I want to touch upon one point here. We realize that, these are opportunities, or these are blessings that are given to devotees by their, becoming deserving of his grace. That comes from doing good, seeing good, and always thinking good, and being selfless. So I want to emphasize this point, that only because we have been doing this without any expectation, without any, feeling of, what do I get from this? That kind of feeling never came in. So that's when, thinking back, I realized that this is the, case. So that is all about the Bhagwan's blessing, and how we got devoted to Bhagwan. And this reinforced our faith and devotion into Bhagwan, and we started trusting more and more Bhagwan. And after that, our life was nothing but, it was completely, totally dependent on Bhagwan. And that was the big transformation that happened in our life. And taking from here, the unconditional love led to the next stage of serving everybody. And Swami says, Madhava Seva is Manava Seva, right? Only when you see God in each and everybody, and that when you serve them, that is when I am pleased. That's what Bhagavan says, right? So we started, listening to people, and Jayanti and I, learned some chants, and Swami put us into a situation where we needed to go and do healing prayers for many, many families, for many, many reasons, jobs, health, cancer, autism, relationships, children, like many reasons. And every time Bhagavan blessed so beautifully. Sooner later, after our prayers, Bhagavan blessed them with whatever they were praying for. This gave us immense faith, immense confidence, immense, proof that, it is Bhagavan who is making it possible. And when you do selfless prayers, he responds. And Bhagavan's only weakness is the devotee's devotion and the prayer. And the prayer is the tool. Prayer is the weapon of the devotee. And we have seen from, many literature, devotional literature, and Bhagavan's Sai literature, we know that many times your prayer, chanting Gayatri, chanting Sairam, the Namasmarana, how it is, enduring your life, how it is giving great strength and mental capacity to overcome any difficulty in your life. That is the, so this service, has transformed, and it has grown up now. Even it is now happening, even as late as yesterday. We were doing some seva for a family who was in need of, educating their children. We gave our resources, whatever we can. Whenever help comes, now Swami is thinking, giving us this thought, oh, Swami has given another opportunity to serve. It is not like, why, how can we do this? No, Now there is no thought of how we do it, where do we get it, things like that. Those questions do not come. The question comes only is, here is an opportunity Bhagavan has given, and he wants us to do. So he put us together, A plus B, so that means he wants us to, be part. So he made us instruments to be part of this service. So that is how we feel, that doing seva, and life happens because of him. Everything that happens, and everything that happens is because of him, that we come to know now. And we realize that, whether it's our children's education, whether it is our children's college, or even their career, or even their wedding, or even our grandchildren, anything and everything that happened because of his great compassion and grace.
Sairam, Brother Mohan, thank you so much for sharing your beautiful stories. I just love the fact that Swami hooked you by giving you what you wanted when you didn't even know you wanted them. For example, your car accidents, or saving you from them, and your employment. So he gave you what you wanted, so you got hooked. And then after that, little by little, he transformed you, but miraculously gave you the ability to witness, that gave you the chance to witness the materialization of vibhuti, and not just seeing the materialized vibhuti afterwards, but the creation of the motion of it being created. And that's such a blessing. And so thank you for sharing that, and not just one occasion, but multiple occasions too. And then you mentioned it's because little by little, he transformed you into deserving his grace. I also love the fact that that led to you doing selfless service of healing prayers, and Swami has responded and given you more and more confidence that he is there with you, doing through you, when you're conducting these healing prayers. And thank you for you as well as Sister Jayanti for what you both do.
Thank you,
Thank you, brother.
Sairam.
Sairam. Thank you, Brother Mohan. Thank you for joining Sai Soul 100.
It's my blessing. Thank you, Sairam.
Sairam. Sairam, dear listeners, thank you for listening to Sai Soul 100 with Brother Mohan Manikkam. I'm Prabha Swaminathan. Until next time, Jai Sairam.